Hey guys, Curious Hobbyist here. Welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm going to modify yet another 32-bit game. In a previous video, I showed you how I modified Cooking Dash 3, which by the way, these games are kind of notorious for being removed from platforms they were published to. However, I did find the following games still on Steam. Cooking Dash 1. This game is pretty old, and likely instills nostalgia in some players. Interestingly, it does not show in Play First developer profile. Anyways, that kind of surprised me, so I thought, let's take this for a whisk. After all, I have played this before. We did have a version of this on our iPad. However, we haven't found that iPad yet, so I want to get a chance to play it before I need to leave it behind entirely. However, there are considerations, especially seeing as this app is $9.99. Firstly, Cooking Dash 3 does not work right anymore, unless you open it a special way. Second, the game's info has notably old requirements. I mean, take a look here. MacOS 10.5 Leopard, G4 processor at 800 MHz, 256 MB of RAM, 800 by 600 4:3 display, 30 MB hard disk drive. Also, what's video RAM? Sound card, I've only heard that phrase in this guy's video on MS-DOS computers. However, those are decades older than G4 PowerPC computers.
You know, it's really kind of sad that I receive emails from time to time from people saying that these G4s or PowerPCs, they're obsolete pieces of junk, and I can't believe that I still sell those to people or that people would even still buy them.
Obsolete pieces of junk, huh? That part isn't really as telling though. So, this may be a PowerPC app. Just maybe though. However, I honestly kind of miss this thing. Haven't played this in years. That's a long time. So that won't stop me from choosing to get this app. After all, it may have similarities to Cooking Dash 3, if it's also made with Playground SDK. Also, from this Wikipedia page, one of the game series is Diner Dash. However, the first in the series, simply titled Diner Dash, was not listed. So what's that game's release date? Apparently, late 2004. It is possible Playground SDK is updating. That means this app may not work as well, or even start properly at all. However, for some strange reason, I still wanted to get the app anyway. So, I then spent some allowance on it and launched the game. And here are the results. First, it had some glitchy problems. For instance, the game runs in 800 by 600. When in full screen, it seems to run in some exclusive mode. Because of that, the menu bar became thicker. Also, it only showed here because it was running for the first time. Speaking of that, this recording stopped at the same time. Also, some menu icons weren't showing here, likely due to this game's full screen display mode. Speaking of which, it wasn't in that mode for long after that. So, I then started an audio recording I had ready. I can't see what's going on here. However, this is audio from the game. At this point, the game is running in the background. So then, I swapped to the game with Command plus Tab. And pasta fajoule. This game actually works. However, due to its issues, I'll have to use screenshots for this part of the story. Obviously, I'll have to record this game. I can't do that in full screen, as you just saw, so I'm going to try to put the game in window mode. It doesn't seem to have a save interface, whereas Cooking Dash 3 did. In that game, I did have some problems switching. The game crashed, and that's due to a strange profile that was there. This profile is blank, and causes glitches, like crashing at the end of levels. That's because progressing conflicts with it. You are able to delete it though, and you won't have either of those issues again. So here, what will happen in Cooking Dash 1? Here is the shocking answer. It works. That is so ironic. The lies you guys tell play first. Interestingly, all of these screenshots from the game's full screen mode are 800 by 600, whereas Cooking Dash 3 ran in 1024 by 768. Anyways, I'm now able to record the game's window. By the way, here's where the audio was from. Also, moving the game's window seems to advance through the intro screens. It is surprising there aren't any issues you have to overcome by system nerd means to play the game, let alone record it. So, what am I waiting for? Let's start playing this. Oh wait, maybe it does have a save slot interface. I'm surprised it works better in this game than Cooking Dash 3 did. Alright, Flo's Diner, classic. Gosh, I'm glad to have this again. Even if it doesn't last the next macOS release, this is nostalgia galore. That's what we're dealing with right now. Okay, now let's get inside the application. This should be interesting. Cooking Dash 3 contained a PFP file, which contained the data, images, scripting, and audio for the game. Apparently, at least. So, what's inside this app? Well, let's find out. Oh god, I've already been through a bunch of surprising stuff and a bunch of irony. Please do not do this to me. I can't take much more of this shock. Those are a bunch of folders, instead of one package file, I guess. Inside of them, there are images, audio, and even fonts here. Even more so, you can find an SWF file in one of the folders. This is an Adobe Flash file that we can see is used for this game's intro. So it's used in this game. There must be a flash projector somewhere in this app. Considering this can run on PowerPC machines, to say the least, I'm very surprised at all these other things as well. For more info, please watch this video linked below. Or maybe this image is used when the game is launched on those machines. For obvious reasons, all of these images are 800 by 600. There's also audio tracks. On the iPad version, I have played levels that have music that isn't here. I do remember a purchase that lets you play those. Vaguely remember it being DX or something, so this is a worse version of the game.
I think Cooking Dash Deluxe combines Cooking Dash 1 and 2, since 1 and 2 have 5 restaurants each, but then this one has 12, so...
Oh, now that explains this. So this game is actually newer. Also, this looks quite different from the Steam version. However, from my memory, this looked more like that. Before I do any modifications, I'm going to back up all of these folders. The way you do so is right-click the folder with any files you want to modify. Now select the option for Compress. This will compress all of these folders into one file. Anyways, here's the first thing that I'll be doing. If you saw my last video, then you guessed it, there are animations for Florence, the salad chef in the game. In the chef folder, there's 5 folders for each of the 5 restaurants. By the way, I'm now progressed to Darla's Cafe, the second restaurant. So now, I'm going to open the 2 folder. Anyways, these are actual image files used by the game, so I can actually see them all and think I'll be able to modify them. So I'm going to do that just like the PFP recovery image I extracted to this working image. That way, only when Florence preps a side dish will the modifications show up. I'm also able to swap the audio files. Because I'm on Darla's Cafe, I can give that place the Tony's Restaurant Italian music. Simply switch out the names. Also, you will need to rename the files as well. Otherwise, this will happen. There's also images for a comic-style storyboard. These are used for when you finish each restaurant. In the cursor folder, there are images for this game's custom cursors. It seems like you could modify them if you wanted to. However, why is the background pink? I mean, these are PNG files. Couldn't they have used transparency? There's also an image for customer mood level. This has a sprite frame for each iteration. There's also a sound wave effect image that's cloned in the game a few times over, the thought bubble, and some folders that each contain a bunch of images that make up the customer characters. There's also animations for flow. Interestingly, this one-hand standing image is not animated. However, the empty and full-handed ones are. I'm going to make the empty-handed downward one grayscale. There's also a fonts folder, and this has MVEC files. Apparently, this font format is specific to PlayerUnknown's SDK. I kind of suspected this kind of thing. It seems these developers are all about uniquely formatting things. The only one that I know the name of is this rounded Arial font. Two others are this font, and this font. So I don't relate them to these files. However, I was able to find pictures of the fonts. So, here they are. Bruscovaya, Dom Casual, and VAG Rounded. Anyways, I am going to swap two of the font files, Bruscovaya and Arial. In the Help folder, there are images for game guidance. Not the most interesting thing in this video. More images, the world map, the restaurant images, pan icons, fire animation, medallion icons. Okay, these animations are for grilling, boiling, and frying progress. And this one is overcooking and burning progress. There's also a faint and translucent background that goes under it. You can't really see it through Finder. However, the Paint Pro canvas does make it clear. In the restaurant folder, there's a bunch of images. I can't associate these to the game. There's a bunch of them. Justin Flo's Diner. There's also some LUA files. From this folder name, it does look like these are scripting files. In the shop folder, there are images for shop items. The game has points with which you're able to purchase them. There are a bunch of these in each folder. There's also images for sliders. However, it doesn't make sense to me why they did this instead of rotating in-game, unless they just couldn't. These images are vertical. However, the only sliders that I've seen in-game are horizontal. Also, those sliders are longer than these three images combined, so they were able to stretch the middle one. However, if they actually used all three of these, you could modify each individual. In the UI folder, there's a bunch of images for clickables. So, that is the basic gist of this. There's so many things that you could modify. Now, let's open the game. Doesn't seem like that works through Finder. Now I'll try the executable inside the macOS folder. Nope. This may have to do with Steam. Stunt Mania quits after a few seconds if you open it either one of these ways. However, the fact this works fine here may have to do with Steam, or it may be due to this game not having a PFP file. So through Steam, it works fine. Okay, let's play the game and watch the modifications showing up. First, we can see the font swap, then the Florence mod, and there's Flo getting depressed every time she walks south, holding nothing. Also, south makes sense as a metaphor. However, does going south depress people? Not in the North Hemisphere. Okay, now I'm going to add a flash file of a game in place of the flash-based intro. In this case, I'm going to use One Step Back. It seems to run fine in Cooking Dash. except for this. For some strange reason, the game starts flickering, and also, the music starts to overlap. Doesn't look normal. Here's the game running normally. Also, I can't click here as that will advance the game's intro, closing the Flash game. That's why I used this game, knowing it was playable in keyboard-only mode. However, I tried to press the arrow keys and it still advanced the intro. If you've seen a Flash game that only requires moving the cursor point as controls and doesn't require pressing a key or clicking, please let me know below. In other words, some Flash games might play fine here, except I can't test them properly, because if I attempt to control it, it will advance. So theoretically, you could play a game that does not require any input aside from mouse pointing at all, and that doesn't look like this. Not in the selection screens, and not in the game itself. Very specifically, only mouse pointing. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If so, feel free to like it, share it with family and friends, and sub to my channel for more content. If you want to get notifications on new uploads, click on the bell icon after subscribing. I try to post new videos on Saturdays or Sundays. Also, you can check out my channel. To do that, click on my icon or channel name just below the video. For any questions or requests you have, please let me know below in the comments. As always, thanks for watching.